You've got a stable relationship, you say. Does this mean that you're going to get married, sir?
When we have time, we will, but we would want to do it at a time when we don't have to go to work right away.
Little did she know they would never get married. You might be surprised, but Ryder-Depp romance, known to be one of the brightest Hollywood love stories back in the 90s, is more than just a nostalgic memory of bygone days. Depp and Ryder seemed to be a perfect match. Why did they break up then? Who was against their marriage? Is it true that Winona never got over Johnny, who was her first love? Stay with us to hear the answers to these questions, and subscribe to Rumor Juice YouTube channel to discover other exciting celebrity stories. Winona and Johnny first met in 1989 at the Great Balls of Fire premiere. They only saw each other that day, but apparently it was enough for the feelings to start blooming. At the time, Winona was a teen starlet, and Johnny was already a rising TV idol. Both of them believed it was love at first sight. Depp even named it a classic glance, like the zoom lenses in West Side Story, and everything else gets foggy. In other words, the 26-year-old actor was instantly smitten with the 17-year-old. Still, they got to know each other only a couple of months later, when a mutual friend introduced them. Before Depp, the only person Ryder had dated was Christian Slater. Technically, they were just seeing each other for a couple of months. She'd never been in a serious relationship before Depp.
Why did you think you were pregnant? You're still a virgin.
When I met Johnny, I was a pure virgin. He changed that. He was my first everything. My first real kiss, my first real boyfriend, my first fiancé, the first guy I had sex with. It wasn't the first everything for Johnny, though. He had been married once and engaged twice by that time. Winona wasn't bothered by that because, according to her, they had a connection on a deeper level. We have the same coloring, but we're from very different backgrounds, so we're interested in each other all the time. Well, they literally had the same coloring. With their dark hair, pale skin, and brooding good looks, they match perfectly well. But what Winona obviously meant was the fact they had a lot in common. And what did Johnny think when his relationship with Winona just started? When I met Winona and we fell in love, it was absolutely like nothing before. We hung out the whole day and night, and we've been hanging out ever since. I love her more than anything in the whole world. Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder were inseparable. The actors co-starred in Edward Scissorhands. They kept listening to their favorite songs together and reading beat poetry to each other. Johnny made a Winona Forever tattoo on his arm, which really impressed the actress's strict parents. They loved Johnny and approved of their daughter's choice. They used to bring Winona and Johnny breakfast in bed whenever the lovebirds were staying over at their place. Depp and Ryder were the most talked about item in Hollywood in the early 90s, and for a reason.
And I feel pretty stable and secure.
Do you think it's important to have a stable relationship when you're 19?
Well, it's certainly helpful in this business. I mean, to have some stability, because this business, you just tend to be kind of, everything's up in the air all the time. So to have like a good family life and a good relationship with someone is pretty important to me.
However, not many knew that the couple encountered some difficulties that turned out to be unbearable for their love. Things were developing so fast. Well, maybe too fast. After dating for 5 months only, Johnny and Winona got engaged and moved in together. Everything was leading up to the marriage. Winona and Johnny tried to enlist their friend, Hairspray director John Waters, to marry them in a ceremony. Back in 2019, John Waters revealed in his new memoir that he refused to marry 28-year-old Johnny to 19-year-old Winona because he thought she was too young. Waters talked them out of it after Depp's lawyers had drafted the paperwork. According to Waters, Winona's parents were grateful that he managed to dissuade the couple from getting hitched. Marriage, postponed for an uncertain time, was only one of the obstacles the two had to face. We should remember they both were rising stars at the time, and therefore they both were pretty busy with their work. Johnny spent days and nights on the set of What's Eating Gilbert Grape. It was during this project's filming when his problems with alcohol and drugs started. It was a pretty dark time for me. I don't know what exactly was going on. Well, I was poisoning myself beyond belief. I've never seen Gilbert Grape actually. I can't watch it. Whatever he was going through, it could have possibly influenced his relationship with Winona. Not in a good way, obviously. The actress was also busy at the time. She was playing, quote, a young fiancé with lack of personal opinion and sense of self in Martin Scorsese's Age of Innocence. In 1993, after 4 years of being together, Ryder and Depp decided to split. Winona's representative at the time blamed the split on the carelessness of young love and stardom. Depp, for his part, explained it as follows, speaking to Los Angeles Times. It's very hard to have a personal life in this town. My relationship with Winona, it was my mistake to be as open as we were, but I thought if we were honest, it would destroy the curiosity monster. Instead, it fed it, gave people license to feel they were part of it.
And you've got Winona Forever. I presume that's Winona Ryder. Is that one still there?
Good guess. No. It's no longer there. We've split up.
You had the tattoo taken off?
No, of course not.
Winona only mentioned that Johnny would be a forever dear person to her. He'll always be in my heart. Forever. Kind of funny, that word. Apparently she meant it, but the separation turned out to be very traumatic for both. Ryder found herself slowly spinning out of control. 10 years later, she confirmed that it was the darkest time of her life.
Oh, it hurts just.
I was embarrassingly dramatic at that time, but you have to remember I was only 19 years old.
I say we just grow up, be adults, and die.
The broken engagement put the starlet through the anguish of depression. A doctor gave the actress sleeping pills, and sometimes she took too many of them. Once Winona fell asleep with a lit cigarette and woke up to flames. She also experimented with booze and drugs. She didn't really care about her career and public image.
And I saw myself on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and it said something like, Winona Ryder, the luckiest girl in the world. And it broke my heart because there I was, in so much pain.
In the meantime, Johnny was going through his personal hell. He started working on Ed Wood with Tim Burton, and according to Burton, the actor was pretty broken about Winona. There were days he would come crying. I asked him why it happened, but all he said was, it wasn't her fault, it was mine. I felt weird to be around him, because he wasn't acting like Johnny anymore. It's almost like Winona took Johnny's soul, Johnny's love. Burton also mentioned that the actor was never the same, even in his next romance with Kate Moss.
But even though we're not together anymore, it doesn't take away the honesty of the moment of when I got the tattoo.
She expected Johnny to get rid of the Winona Forever tattoo, but Johnny changed it to Wino Forever instead. Well. Johnny then found himself involved in numerous love stories. Some were allegedly happy, others turned out to be dramatically entangled. After dating Kate Moss for 4 years, he ended up in a 14-year relationship with Vanessa Paradis. Allegedly, Depp began seeing Amber Heard while he was still with Vanessa. According to an anonymous source, this theory upset Ryder, whose long-lasting, respectful relationship with Johnny changed after she learned about his romance with Amber. It is believed Winona didn't appreciate his decision, quote, to dump a long-term baby mama for a woman in her 20s.
Kids?
Your kids?
My kids? Everything.
What do you mean?
Everything. They've certainly made me grow up, that's for sure.
Really?
Yeah, well, they made me.
You mean take responsibility or?
However, a couple of years later, Winona rushed to her ex's defense when Heard accused the actor of domestic violence. I was absolutely shocked, confused, and upset when I heard the accusations against him. The idea that he is an incredibly violent person is the farthest thing from the Johnny I knew and loved. I cannot wrap my head around these accusations. At the time, Ryder claimed she was willing to be called as a witness for Depp. In an official statement, she mentioned that she considered him her best friend and someone as close as a family member.
You don't stop loving a person just because they injure you.
Depp's romantic and family life was quite intense. And what about Ryder's other romances? Following her relationship with Depp, she dated Soul Asylum lead singer Dave Pirner for 3 years and went on to date Matt Damon for 2 years. Unlike Johnny, she's never been married. Winona's not a fan of casual dating, and she once called herself a serial monogamist. Marriage? I don't know. I'd rather never have been married than been divorced a few times. Another reason Winona's never married roots in her family. The thing is, her parents were madly in love with each other for 5 decades. By doing so, they apparently set a high standard for their daughter, who wouldn't settle for less in her own adult life. Back in 2016, notoriously private Ryder revealed she had been dating someone for quite a while. Though Winona keeps her private life very low-key these days, the 40-year-old is reportedly together with a fashion designer, Scott McKinley Hahn, since 2011. However, in 2019, Johnny and Winona were said to be in touch again. Various sources suggested the actor tried to reach Winona through their mutual friends. The Star magazine reported that the exes were talking on the phone and exchanging texts. Winona's friends were urging her to avoid her past love because, quote, a fragile soul like her doesn't need a hellraiser like Johnny. Well, maybe they were not a perfect match after all. With or without someone interfering with their relationship, Winona and Johnny obviously knew what was better for them. Besides, we shouldn't underestimate, quote, the carelessness of young love and stardom, the only so-to-say officially announced reason for their split. They faced a whirlwind of emotions and feelings, newfound fame, lack of experience, unwanted public attention, and apparently they couldn't overcome all the obstacles at once. Who knows, maybe that was simply too much for two young souls to handle.